My name is Matteo Cullen. I'm currently living in Limerick, and I previously lived in Japan from 2004 to 2007. I finished my master's course in Trinity. I was looking at ethnic and racial studies, and I guess I wanted to apply what I was learning or what I was reading about race and ethnicity and different culture to my lived experience. So I went to Asia and had a look at what was going on over there, and look at the culture and look at the music and look at the popular culture and so on. I decided to move to Japan because there's a good program for Irish people to go and live there, which is the JET program. It's Japan Exchange Teaching, and they take about 50 Irish people every year, and what you do is you're sent to work in either a junior high school, an elementary school, or a high school in Japan. That was the basic reasoning there. I did want to live in Asia. The options were kind of Korea, China and Japan, and out of the three of those, I suppose the one that I kind of felt I was most attracted to was Japan. I guess it is a developed country, so it wasn't going to be that different as well. It was kind of... And then there's our whole sort of, our image of Japan. I kind of have two images of Japan. One is kind of rural, tea ceremony, relaxed, living in the paddy fields, and the other was the kind of metropolitan sort of metropolis of the graphic novels. And I wanted to see did that actually exist, what it was like to be in, what the people who actually populated it were like. I think I was just kind of caught up in the sort of romanticism of going and in the excitement of going. So it wasn't a huge thing for me. Like, I've gone abroad before. I mean, I've lived in England for a year. I've been to the States. I've been to a good few European countries. I've been to Italy a bunch of times. So it wasn't like I didn't find it hard to settle into Japan. I think what's maybe a little unusual about Japan is that it's quite easy to get the basics of the culture. What is tricky is getting down into the sort of deeper levels of social interaction and what's actually going on and how social relations work. I think in Japan there is a very kind of established set of rules that people live by, and that's hard to understand. On a superficial level, I think the Japanese are very open to difference and to people from other cultures coming to Japan and living there, and I think they're quite welcoming of that. On a deeper level, maybe there's more of a wariness. I think the Japan of today is cognizant of issues like population is falling, of issues like how to preserve sort of Japanese tradition and culture, and I think sometimes that can impinge on how much of alternative cultures or how much of the outside they actually want to absorb. So it can be a little bit difficult to know exactly where you stand. I think the time comes where you have to decide, when you're living abroad, are you going to stay abroad or are you going to come back? And I think I decided to come back for a couple of reasons. One would be to continue studying and get stuck into a PhD. I guess I was also curious to how things were going in Ireland. I mean, when I left here, things were going very well, and I suppose I just wanted to see if that was still the case. And you do miss your mates and you do miss the crack. I think that's something that people who live abroad that I've been talking to have said, like, you do miss just the small things about being Irish and being in the know, like, about what's being said or what's happening culturally and stuff like that. It's hard to live in a country where there's a lot of things that you have to say rather than leave unsaid in order for them to be understood, Just, I suppose I also have a sense of wanting to do something in Ireland. Like, we have a lot of money here now, and we have a lot of impetus, I suppose, to drive the country forward and see what we can do culturally and see what we can do socially, and I'd like to be part of that. The small things that I can honestly say that I'm glad to be back to, like, Japan is great and Japanese food is great and all that, but there are things that, like your comfort foods and all the rest, that it's good to have back. Just, pint of Guinness here and there, and go to a session talking Irish. These are all things that you can't do when you're when you're living abroad, and it's great to be able to do this again. I mean, I'm just back, so I'm still sort of figuring out how things are going here in Ireland. Like, I tend to invest a lot in what I'm doing, like, so I had a lot of input in the job and that, and I'm sort of still in limbo. It's tough to leave behind. Well, I think I enriched Japan's life by being over there and getting stuck in, playing Irish music, teaching them about Ireland in class, telling them about geography, telling them about history of Ireland, telling them about the culture of Ireland. I think that aspect of it is good. What I think I got in return was a lot of outlets in Japan for the things I wanted to do, like making my own music, like meeting and fraternising with musicians who were on the same wavelength, people who were sort of on the same wavelength academically as well. So it's definitely enriched my life. I didn't know a thing about Asia. I couldn't have told you where Korea was before I went to Asia. I couldn't have told you where Nepal was or what the flag looked like, you know. But I've all these experiences now that I can draw on and sort of hopefully do something useful with now that I'm back.